All right. Here we go. We're back here live. Well, not live, but back on the YouTube. Hey, look here. Welcome to the new version of Movie Talk. It's where we talk about movies. And one thing that we're gonna talk about today is gonna be Fantasy Island. Man, let me tell you what. Uh, before we start breaking this mug down. First of all, I'm gonna say Fantasy Island, the TV show back in the '80s, was one of my favorite TV shows at that time. I really enjoyed watching Ricardo Montalban, one of the coolest mugs on television, man. And little old Tattoo, he was a bad boy too. So back in the day, when I first saw that they was gonna do this, and when I first heard about this movie, it was the trailer. I hadn't seen anything that said Fantasy Island movie until I saw the trailer. So I'm like, oh boy. And I watched the trailer, and I'm like, I don't know. And then I watched it. So now give you my opinion once I finish breaking this mug down. So the movie starts off, the opening chase scene where they on the island, and there's some random girl we don't know yet. We'll probably see her later on in the movie, I guess. Oh yeah, by the way, this is all spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see the movie. You have to excuse me, I'm eating milk duds right now. I love milk duds. Anyway, so after the girl, she running, and you don't see who chasing her. She goes inside this, she's on the island. She goes inside this house. She's hiding under there. The phone rings. She answered it. Which don't really make sense to me because it really didn't make sense to me. I'm not even trying to figure that out. She answered the phone. She telling the person on the other end she needs help. Somebody chasing her, but all this other stuff. Got on the other end, said, yeah. Just be quiet. Everything will be all right. And then he revealed that he know who she is because, it was, the guy running the island. So he already knew that she was on the run and his guys were chasing. That type of weird thing. And then they showed that it was Mr. York. His little name tag on the desk. Moving on. And I said, okay. So he's gonna be a straight up bad guy in this movie. So next thing, you got the girl, she playing in the sand. And all of a sudden she see the plane. And she running. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, wouldn't it be cool to have a little tattoo, little midget, the plane. Oh man, I love that. That was so cool. Anyway, she she runs in and says, hey, the plane. And so, they get and I'm looking at Mr. Ward. Now, I didn't even look up the guy's name. I've seen him before. That's the same dude played in Chips. He played as Punch in Chips. And I'm like, okay, because Mr. Rourke was a serious character, so, and I'm only used to seeing this guy in funny stuff. So it's gonna be a hard transition for me. To see him try to play, straight. So we'll see. So I'm still trying to give it a chance. And then you got the people coming off the plane and everything. was a big difference because you like smile, everyone smile, and they had the music playing, and they got the drinks and everything, and the ladies and they turning around. This one right here, man, I mean, it was like felt like straight horror. People wasn't smiling, people wasn't playing music, it wasn't, it just folks getting off the plane. I said, wait a minute, this ain't Fantasy Island. I don't know what. I said, y'all landed on the wrong island. I mean, it didn't have no feel to it. It was straight like, woo, it's gonna be some creepy Scooby-Doo stuff, man. So we get introduced to the brothers whose names keep escaping me. Melanie, Patrick, and Gwen. Okay. So I'm saying, okay. Gwen looks familiar to me. Where have I seen Gwen before? So, and then, they said, welcome to Fantasy Island and all that other stuff. So they heading back towards the houses and stuff, freshen up and do whatever. And then all of a sudden, off into the distance, you see a face hiding in the wood. Some dude. And I said, okay, I guess we'll be seeing him again. And then you started noticing something weird about his assistant. It's just something weird about her. Anyway, then we get down to getting back to the character named Gwen. I got to get back to this character because I've seen her before. I just couldn't put her name, together. Then, that's Maggie Q. That's my girl. My girl. I hadn't seen her since she got killed in that the Divergent movie. It was the third one when she got shot on the wall. They was getting ready to go over the wall, and she got to the top, and they shot her. Yeah, that's the last time I seen Maggie Q, man. And she's still hot, man. I don't care what nobody says. She's still hot. That's a beautiful woman. Beautiful woman. Hey, don't get offended. Hey, I'm a grown man. A grown man's supposed to compliment a beautiful woman. Because if he don't, then maybe she ain't beautiful. At least that's where I come from. So, if it offends you, sorry it does. But that's a you problem. You got to handle that yourself. For all the ones that understand, keep on trying. Now, getting back to the movie. They did a little jump scare with her. And I said, oh shoot, it's gonna be one of those typical jump scare movies. So I'm thinking, it's not gonna be like a fantasy type like the TV series was. They trying to make it into a horror. That's what I'm thinking now. So I said, okay. So they trying to make it different. So all of as I call the players, that's what I call all the guests. They meet, they talk, they introduce, you see what they're about, and you're thinking to yourself, since this is going to be a horror, that means some people are going to get killed. So I'm like, okay, the two brothers that doing all the silliness, I said, okay, they're dead. And I'm trying to figure out which one of the two girls they're going to kill. I don't think that, I'm thinking to myself, they probably won't kill Maggie Q character, Gwen. But I was basing on the fact that from the 5 characters, the 5 guests, I'm guessing that she is probably the biggest name among that group. So I didn't think they would kill her. So that's what I was just basing it on. Just that. Because I'm thinking she's the biggest name. She's probably the star of the whole picture. But they do a good job of sharing what you call the screen time. They do a real good job at that, to where where yeah, each person is individuals is starring in their own fantasy, but the actual star, the actual movie is Rourke because he's the one that gets screen time with everybody. See what I'm saying? So there's nobody in the movie among these so-called main characters, you know, to include his assistant, that he don't have some screen time with. So he got screen time with all the major players in the movie, and quite a bit. So you know that yeah, he's the main character of it all. That got it all together. But when you split them up, boom, the person or the individual is the star of their own little section of the movie. So that's cool because that's Fantasy Island. That's how it was doing the show. It was about the guests and their own individual thing, but still, Mr. Rourke was the star of the show. So that's how it went. So anyway, so like I said, we meet the players. We see the craziness. We get a Mr. Rourke. He, you know, have a formal introduction, I guess you say, and he's explaining the rules and everything, and everything's supposed to go. And I think the brothers was complaining because they didn't have a room, and you know, because everybody else had their rooms and everything, and the brothers didn't have a room. So their complaint was, you know, we didn't have a room. So why we don't have a room? And then Mr. Rourke said, because your fantasy begins now. So he takes them to where their fantasy was gonna be. And lo and behold, these guys had, because they had a joint fantasy, and their joint fantasy was the same type of fantasy that a lot of us have, and that was a big ass, like just big mansion like pool party with just bodies all over the place, going every which way, just big party. And I said, okay. This is supposed to be like a big, gigantic, super like pool party that's supposed to last the entire weekend or something. And I said, that's a fantasy I can go for. So he sets them off to do their thing, and really don't get a grasp of what's going on between the two brothers just yet, because they hadn't like broken those characters down. Other than together, they act like idiots, and they kind of pile on people like they did with they piled on Patrick earlier, which was weird. And they high five a lot, so you know that's kind of annoying. So then you know, uh, Gwen, she meets with Rourke, and he pretty much gets her set up for her little fantasy, her regrets that she had when she said no when she should have said yes, type of thing. And we all been there on that. And so she's kind of reliving that, but she's still not getting that what she is reliving is real. Kind of, she think it's all fake, but that the person that in question, that they actually paid this guy to come in and no, that's not is real, but it's not that real. it's a weird concept of how everything works, how the island works, because they make it clear that it's the island. Okay, they make that clear in the movie. It's the way the island works, that it grants you your interfantasies. And in some cases, some of your fantasies you granted at a cost, but we'll go through that later. Um, so after he get quit going with hers, we meet Patrick and Melanie, and they pretty much talk about what they why what their issues are as far as fantasy. Melanie, she wants to get revenge on the girl that used to bully her in school, and Patrick wants to be a hero like his dad. His dad served in the military. He was a cop, but he was kind of a coward, so he wanted to be like his dad. So that's pretty much it. So Rourke comes in. He sends Melanie on her fantasy as she goes down the elevator, and she finds herself in a torture light room with the girl that used to tease her strapped up in a chair, and the girl's name is Sloan. So remember that, Sloan. I can remember that. I knew a guy in school named Sloan. Yeah. Anyway, she in this glass like concealment, and the girl, Sloan, she's strapped in and everything, and she can't see who's looking in on her, but she's strapped anyway. So she's trying to get out. She can't get out, can't get up, can't move. Gwen comes in and she starts pushing buttons and stuff, and different stuff, torture stuff happens to the girl, and she thinking it's like some kind of hologram. She don't think it's real. And then she noticed that later on that it's real, and that's the crazy part. So she gonna try to help the girl out once she finds out that it's real, and she like, oh, how can this be? And she trying to help the girl out, and then this one guy comes out, some weird dude. He's just like a doctor would when he's ready to do surgery, like a surgeon. I forgot what they call him. Dr. Torture. That's what they call him. And he knows that the girl can see him through the glass, so he's facing her because he's banging on the glass and stuff. And he pulls down the mask. You know that little mask they wear when they're in surgery? And he got his mouth and everything all stitched up and everything. And it's weird. So she had to try to trick the guy into doing certain things that made it possible for her to not hurt the girl anymore, Sloan. So she was able to break Sloan out, and then they head out of there. They jetted out of there. So it was weird. I'm not gonna give you all the details. Some of the stuff, if you hadn't seen it, you have to see it for yourself. But it was cool. It was cool. Fun. Okay. So her fantasy turns twisted, for a little twist, just a little twist. It was a weird thing, She went from one to get revenge to one to help the girl get out of there. So weird. Because she said she wanted to, have the satisfaction of playing, torturing her, but she didn't really mean the actual real person. Anyway, and then there's Patrick. Mr. Work drops them all in the woods, and he said, "Go live your fantasy." He got in his army fatigues and stuff because he wanted to be, like I said, he wanted to be a soldier like his dad wanted to be a hero. So as soon as he got suited up and started walking, he got captured by American patrol, who's like special ops, really, because they was on a special mission, and they didn't know who he was. So they said, okay. So they tied his behind his hands up, take him back to the lieutenant. So you see what he said. And he tried to say, "Oh, well, I'm here with another unit, and we're on this mission." And and they said, "Nah, we're on the unit." So there's something strange about you, dude. And they take him back to where their little camp is, but they were getting ready to move out anyway. But they take him to the lieutenant talking to him. Patrick is freaking out because the lieutenant is his dad, right? It's his father. And he's freaking out because his father been dead since he was 9. But this is his dad back when he was in the military. So he yelling for Mr. Warp to come in and like, what is this? What is this? This is him. Then all of a sudden there was some shooting and stuff. So, and Patrick, I think he got hit in the shoulder and then he passed out. But it wasn't like a solid hit or anything. He probably just grazed him. And the guy, his dad was pissed off because he saw the guy that was wearing dog chain, and he wanted to know who this guy was he ain't never met before in his life. Why would he have dog chains with his name on it? So but we kind of like after Patrick passed out, I think they went somewhere else towards the brothers. Anyway, by that time it was daytime, wasn't it? Yeah. And the brothers was like sitting by the pool, and you really got a sense of how their relationship was and how things was between the two. And unfortunately, reference papers. Unfortunately, there was a little because one of the brothers is gay, and so he gets kicked out of their parents. Their parents kicked him out. Now remember they're half brothers, step brothers, but they real close because they've been step brothers since they were little, so they real close. And so but the parents kicked him out because he was gay. Typical storyline. There's never no happiness there. There's never no, you know what? You're my son, and we love you anyway. I don't approve of what you're doing, but I'm not gonna just kick you out in the cold. Okay? Maybe do a little more love, a little more attention, a little more passion. Maybe you might look down the world and say, you know what? Maybe I was just being rebellious. Or maybe I just made a mistake. Who knows? But kicking them out ain't the answer. But you don't want them to go old school on them, or it would have been worse than that. But anyway, leaving that alone. When they kicked him out, he didn't have a place to stay, so he lived with his brother. And his brother was in a relationship with this one girl. And the younger brother was like, I caused you your relationship. I should have never moved in. I should have did my own thing, whatever. And the guy was like, hey, man, my life was boring till you moved in. Everything was cool. I mean, it was like we had a great time. We've been having a good time. We gotten closer. I'm glad you moved in. You know, that type of thing. So these guys really and love their relationship with brothers. You know, and the one guy feel like he cost them a good relationship, and the other guy said, "Look, man, I'm trying to get over her. I'm gonna get over her. She didn't understand our relationship, so on and so forth." So that's pretty much where you go when you say, "Okay, these once you get past the silliness, they really pretty cool." You know. All right, so after that, we're kind of done on the pool side there with the brothers. You know, like I said, they really done a pretty good job of giving us an idea of you know, what they're all about. And then you know they switched back and forth a little bit. You know, they went back to Gwen, and she's figured out, well, you know, I might as well play along. So she says yes this time. And then some amazing things happen. You know, so she finally got that family that she always wanted. You know, and meanwhile, the brothers have moved on into the mansion to look around, found a panic room, and lo and behold, they found a whole lot of weapons in one area of the house, just guns and hand grenades and stuff. So you know those dumbasses, they gonna go and they gonna grab a couple of grenades, and they had a little, you know, them little machines, those pitcher machines that they have in like baseball teams have, where you just put the ball through it and it shoot the ball at the batter. Well, these retards, they're gonna, which is ridiculous, because you know you can't do that. They're gonna take grenade, they're gonna pull the pin, they're gonna drop the little thing, they're gonna shoot it through there, and they're gonna go, and they're gonna shoot them out, and they're gonna explode in there, which is bullshit, because I call bullshit on that, because by the time that trigger is flips off and they get it through that little chute, they'll be lucky if it doesn't explode coming out of the end of the machine. But it's definitely gonna explode in the air. So there's no way it's gonna make it into the water and then explode. So they, and with a real grenade, talking about taking a risk, blow up in the face, man. Anyway, so that's what them guys was doing. So while they blowing grenades in the water, you know, while they blowing grenades in the water, I think the what you call was heard that and thought they was getting shot at, the soldiers, the Marine soldiers, whatever they were, or whatever, Patrick. Because you know, like I said, they had a shootout, and so it's like they heard the grenades on one side of the island, thinking that they was getting shot at. So that was kind of funny. So Sloan and, let me see. So it would start getting a little rough here. Melanie and Sloan trying to get away. Dr. Torture caught up with him. And the brothers who was enjoying the mansion, then all of a sudden they got invaded by some type of cartel group. So that got a little rough. And then And then Patrick had a little showdown with his dad because they figured out, okay, you're supposed to be my son and all this other stuff. And so they go through this back and forth until they both realize that, hey, that's my dad, and hey, that's my son. And then and he said, no, and he like, bullshit, my son's 9 years old. And he said, nah, Dad, you've been dead for. So they go back and forth on that until they figure out who's who. And then he tells his dad that whatever mission they're on, he's gonna wind up getting killed because he's gonna save his soldiers from getting killed because he's gonna jump on top of a grenade. He said, and then later on, his dad decided, you know what, F this, let's get out of here. And he like, what? He said, no, man, you can't do that. You can't leave. You got to save your. I said, no. He said, you say I die on this mission. I got a 9-year-old at home. I need to be raising him. He said, no, Dad, you can't run because if you run, that will make you a coward, and you can't be a coward. So they actually having a little fight now. So they're fighting. Gwen went from enjoying having a family to her thinking about, if I had known that this fantasy was going to be real, then I would have told him what I really want my fantasy to be. So she goes back to Rourke. She said, hey, here, take the family and give me my real fantasy, what I really want. And that is to save the life of a person that died because of something that she did. And which is very noble. Very noble. And to a degree. And so she like, I want to go back and save the guy, because she starts a fire in her apartment and it spreads to other apartments and a person burned up. And that's been haunting her, for a long time. And it probably was the main reason why she told the guy that she wanted to marry that she wasn't going to marry him. I think that was the thing that pushed her away, that guilt. I don't remember them explaining that, but I do believe that was probably the reason why she decided not to marry the love of her life, because I guess she figured it wouldn't be fair to him that she's dealing with that guilt. She felt like she felt so bad that she didn't feel like she deserved happiness. So, and the first time I saw it, I wasn't paying attention. The second time I watched it, I noticed that when she ran out of the apartment building, she heard the person screaming, because she had to basically relive the whole thing as part of the fantasy. And she runs over to a police officer and say, hey, I need you to help me save this person. There's still another person there. That person turned out to be Patrick, was a police officer. And out of fear, but he said, we need to wait for the fire department. So he doesn't go back in. So she goes back in. And I'm thinking that she probably originally didn't go back in because when she started going back up the stairs, she saw two more guys running out. And the two guys turned out to be the two brothers. So they was running out of the building. And I'm like, okay, this starting to have some connections. This not just a bunch of people that they just brought together for a fantasy. So I'm like, what's going on? So, Gwen is like going in trying to save this dude. And so at the same time, like I said, because it kept flipping back and forth, because you got these cartel people. And man, check this out. They shooting up the place, right? And one of the brothers called Rourke, and he said, yeah, we some guys, you know, they shooting up the place, and he said, oh yeah, that'll be such and such, and he's like, what? And he's like, well, you know, the problem with having everything, other people tend to want to take it from you. So enjoy your fantasy, and he hang up. And then they try to go to the panic room, and all those babes and stuff that they had at the parties and stuff, they went in the panic room and closed the door. And I'm like, oh man. So now the brothers are trapped. They come in, and the cartel dudes, you know, they wearing masks and stuff, and they're trying to, which this is funny. This is funny. Okay, the cartel guys is trying to figure out what happened to the owner of the mansion. You know, why did they kill him, and where did they stash the money and the drugs? And they trying to explain there's no money in the drugs. All this is a fantasy. You guys are just actors. You know, you're not. You know, and so on and so forth. And these guys are like, in the head guy, he's like, oh really? So he started with some little torture stuff. He said, I'm gonna hurt one of you. I'm gonna hurt one of you if you don't tell me where the money and the drugs is. And the guy's like, no, this is just a fantasy. And this is not supposed to be happening in my fantasy. And then the guy's like, maybe it's my fantasy. So he started cutting on him, on dude. And then his brother said, hey, I know where it's at. So it was weird, man, because when the two soldiers, like when Patrick and his dad decided that they gonna see how I jumped around, they decided that they was gonna go through the mission because Patrick said, I'm here, so I'm gonna make sure that you don't die. So they go on the mission to save some hostages, and the weird funny thing about the whole thing is the hostages that they're going to save turn out to be the brothers who was in the mansion. And I'm like, so they just combined the two fantasies. And we hadn't even, like I said, and I hadn't even talked about the fact that by this time we already know that Melanie, right, because she was lying to Sloan about how they got there, and then the guy in the woods he saved them from Dr. Torture, and he made her confess basically, you know, why Sloan was there. That Melanie had this fantasy and all this stuff that happened when they was younger and so on and so forth. So Sloan was pissed, and Melanie was like, well, you know what? You know, if you didn't treat me like shit, this wouldn't have happened. So she's pissed, and dude's like, look, man, I'm trying to expose this entire island, and I ain't got time for this BS. Here, take some of this funky water that they put in your drinks, which induce your fantasies and stuff. So he was saying, because he was showing, he's showing them where the heart of the island is, where that freaking water was coming from. So, and he said, anything happened to me, take this. I got a friend offshore waiting for me to let them know that, you know, bring the plane to come get me and all this other stuff. So if anything happened to me, then you make the call, you tell him, hey, I need him, he'll come. So they getting ready to, you know, get up out of there. And Dr. Torture, who came up with that, he comes in, you know, he's grabbing at the girls, and he's, you know, trying to get at the girls and stuff, and the guy in the woods, the face in the woods guy that I just call, I don't know his name, I keep forgetting it. He's gonna tackle the guy, and they're gonna fall off the cliff. So he basically sacrificed himself so the girls could get away. And meanwhile, we got the shootout going on at the mansion as the soldiers are shooting at the cartel members. And come to find out, here's where it gets weird. Really? Here's where it gets weird? Here's where the whole movie, like, it gets weird, man. Because, you know, because the little brother tricked the head cartel member, and he was able to basically kill both of them. Right? So he's running out, you know, and then some goo start coming out of their forehead. The cartel members, some goo, and them mugs raised up like, and I'm like, what the hell is this? The Walking Dead? These mugs rose up, grabbed their guns, mask and stuff, and went back outside, started shooting at the soldiers, and they had a big shootout. I mean, and they shooting at these guys, and they shooting at them and shooting at them, and they like, hey, these mugs won't die. They won't die. They're not dying, And they start picking off the soldiers one by one. The two brothers, like, one of the brothers gets shot. The older brother got shot. Patrick grabs the younger brother and said, come on, man, we got to get out of here. And the dad is like, get out of here. And then he gets shot. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. If those cartel guys is from the island, then so are those other soldiers and his dad. So shouldn't they be able to raise back up? Like zombies and stuff. And it was funny, man, because the dude, the head guy, he hands the mask to the one guy and they put the mask on. They like, and I said, okay, zombie nation up in this mug. So they take it out. They gone, whoo, gone. Like, capital G, gone. They gone, right? So, and then they all meet back up in the big mansion and stuff. And then they're looking at Rourke. Everybody's pissed. My brother's dead. You killed my dad all over again. And they like, and Gwen like, I wasn't able to, and Gwen is like, wait a minute, you bastards, wait a minute. And then they start talking about, she was like, you was there and you was there, and they like, we ain't got time for that. So the girl said, hey, we got a plane coming. Let's get the fuck out of here. So they say, okay, we're going. And Mr. Word, and this is what he said, like, and because they was fighting with some of his guards, I guess, because he was like, and they taking on. They said, should we go after them? They said, no. She wants them all together. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. What's going on here? So here comes the plane. You remember those cartel guys? Well, hey, they went into that panic room too, and they came out with some artillery. So they're gonna blow up the damn plane. Okay, they're gonna shoot a damn rocket and blow up the plane. So now they like, oh no. So they running, and they wind up back in the cavern tunnels. They got split up, and they got a lot of weird stuff going on. Each one like being attacked by something, by one of them like zombie guys, somebody that they knew from their past and so on and so forth. And somewhere in there, somebody, because I can't remember, because it's been a minute since I saw it, but I think because Rourke had a talk with Gwen, and she kind of sort of say like, hey, you need to let your wife go, and you'll figure it out when you see it. And because he's bound by the island, he can't, because his wife was sick. He makes a deal with the island. She lives as long as he stays on the island. So he's the proprietor of the island. That's his lockdown. The only problem was his wife would constantly live, get sick, die. Live, get sick, die. And she would constantly go through that over and over again. And Glenn was like, you need to let that go. And you need to stop letting this island control you. You need to control the island. Something to that degree. So everybody was like rounded up because we found out that it was Melanie fantasy of getting revenge on everybody because she was pathetic. Okay, this was a pathetic bitch. I hate to say it, but that's what she was. She was pathetic because she was still holding on to the stuff that was done to her in school, and it made her think less of herself, and she thought so bad about herself that she figured no guy would ever want her. And she finally goes on a date, right, with a guy that said, hey, how about a second date? That's never happened to her before. So the guy that she wanted to have, that was supposed to have that second date, was the guy that burned up in the apartment building. See what I'm saying? So she blames Sloan for giving her that mentality that she wasn't worth a damn. She blamed Gwen for starting the fire. She blamed the brothers that ran out the apartment building because the two brothers knew the guy. They was roommates, I think. But they left because they didn't go back in because they thought the guy already left on his date. So they didn't know that he was still in the apartment. So they ran out thinking that wasn't nobody in there anyway. So, and the police officer didn't go back in and save him or help the girl save him because she probably could have saved him if she had the help. Or maybe he talked her not going back in the first place. One or the other. So she blamed all this to why she didn't get that second date and she didn't get her happy ever after. And somebody did appropriately make their comment. They said, all this, and they only dated once. They only went out one time. And this, so she must be crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that was the weird part of the whole thing. The twist is the little twist. But you know what? And for this movie, it works. I'm like, okay, because she really did some serious acting to make you think that she was one of the ones who's in trouble, and she basically orchestrated the whole thing. Because I'm saying, Ward can't be the villain. He can't be the villain. When he said she wants them all together, that's when I know he wasn't the villain. But he said all the fantasies had to play out, because you never know how it's supposed to play out. So you can't leave the island till your fantasy plays out, and what's supposed to happen is going to happen. So they was all stuck because he's like, one fantasy, that's it. But one person didn't have a fantasy. And when he came down and he said, basically to the heart of the island, he said, all of my guests gets one fantasy. And there was one person that didn't get a fantasy. So she drinks some of that funky water, Sloan, because Sloan was dragged there because of Melanie. So she drinks the funky water, and she said her fantasy is for Melanie and that guy to be together. So, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't the actual guy, but it was the zombie guy, all burnt up and everything, and snatched Melanie down into the water. And there's the end of your villain. And I was like, you know what? That's funny. So you're getting towards the end of the movie, all right, and everybody like leaving and stuff, and they like, what make you think we ain't gonna report you and tell about this? And he said something I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention at that point about they're not gonna do anything to him. The island pretty much protects itself. So, but there's the rules. I think was gonna change a little bit because I think he's gonna have more control of the island because he let his wife go, and and you know, little brother is like, oh man, he was like, my bro's gone, man. What I'm gonna do? And he was like, you know, this is Fantasy Island. and he said, you mean I can bring my brother back? He said, yeah. And he can go home and he can get back with his girl and have a happy life and all this other stuff. And he said, yeah, he can have all that if that's your fantasy. The only thing is, in order for him to continue to live, you have to stay on the island. And when he said that, I said, oh, okay. So this little guy, because he's short too, but he's not. And I said, okay, so this is supposed to be tattooed. This is supposed to be tattooed. That's what I'm saying. So I said, oh, so this is the origin story of Fantasy Island. This is the origin story. So the survivors get on the plane, the girls and on the next talk, and they say, well, where's they call him Tat. Where's little Tat? And his older brother looks, you know, he looks in the back because he's sitting up front, and he said, I don't think he'll be joining us. And then the plane takes off, and York's looking at him, and the little guy's like, well, what am I supposed to do? He said, you're now my assistant. You work for me now. And then he said, and then he finds out that they call him Tat because he had a tattoo that he did back, I guess back in high school or college or something. He put a little tattoo on his chest, said tattoo. Who gonna get a tattoo that says tattoo? And you looked at it and he said, oh, tattoo. So you're gonna start calling him tattoo. So I said, so you telling me this is the tattoo origin story? Now he's short, but he's not a midget. So I'm like, come on, man. But you know, when the movie ended, it really didn't feel like a movie. It felt like an extended episode to me. And I can go for another episode. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I hope that this movie does well financially. They would do another one. Because it's shaky at places, but it's entertaining. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think I would like to see another one. Just, you know, if I like to see another one. Individually, a lot of it was weak, but the way they connected it kind of strengthened the entire movie itself, you know, because everything was linked. Because they rarely, like doing the show, linked all the fantasies. You know, this was a separate from that, and that was separate, you know. But they linked all the fantasies together. That it was like one big storyline. And actually, that was cool. Unfortunately, I don't think they'll be able to pull that off again. So next time they probably have to do multiple storylines if they was to have a sequel. But overall, I would say this movie was better than I thought it was going to be. I enjoyed it. I watched it twice. The first time, it's like, yeah. The second time, I was really paying attention. And I was like, man, this is pretty good. And I look at it and I say, I mean, I'm serious, man. As it was panning away, I was like, I can go for another episode of this. You see what I'm saying? I can't see myself going to the theater and watching it, you know, multiple times. But I can see myself watching the movie multiple times. And to me, that's the big common denominator. Can I watch this movie multiple times? And To me, that's a yes. I'm not gonna say I love it. No, because there's a lot of weak parts. There's a lot of BS parts. There's a lot of scratch your head moments. Because I didn't tell you the entire everything. I told you the twist. That's why I say spoilers. This is a spoiler. Okay, but overall, it's enjoyable. You have to leave the 80s out of it. He's not the guy he's not Ricardo Montalban. Okay, we're not getting a little tattoo, so we're not gonna get that what made that show great. Okay, totally different people. Okay, but for what they did a hell of a job. And for me personally, I enjoy watching Maggie Q. I can watch Maggie Q all day long. Okay, I think she's one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, and she's aging well. So, hey, I ain't gonna say I'm a fan, but she definitely got my attention. And I don't mean that in any harm way, any mean or upsetting way. I really think I don't know her personally, but I feel like she's a beautiful person inside and out. That's the way she come across to me. And every time I see her in a movie, all the movies that I seen her in, that's the vibe that I get from her. From her, I don't know if it's her acting or it's just her, but she give me that vibe that she's a beautiful person to just be around, to just have in your life. And for whatever reason it is, she really stands out when she's on the screen for me. I don't know what that is, why it is, it just is. And like I said, I don't mean that in any negative way, you know. But I think from what I see of her and her what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Just that vibe. She just seemed like the type of person that you would want to have around, you know. So, hey, I could be wrong, but that's just the vibe that I get. Okay. Moving on, the guy that played the Rourke. One of these days, I'm gonna look his name up. I think he did a good job, and I think the best thing that he understood, I'm not Ricardo Montalban, and I'm not gonna try to be. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna do this role, and I'm just gonna say, hey, I'm Mr. Rourke. This is the way I'm playing it. This is where I am. And I think by him doing it that way, instead of trying to fake it and try to be something that he's not, because can nobody do it like Ricardo Montalban? Shoot, that mother was come for a reason. One of the baddest villains that ever. That's it. Hey, he was one of the smoothest guys on television and became one of the baddest villains in the movies. I'm telling you, Ricardo Montalban, when it comes to acting, he's up there. Okay, he is up there. Okay, he's up there with like Michael Keaton. Okay, them some top notch actors right there. So I'm gonna give this movie a healthy B minus. Because like I said, there was some things, but there was more enjoyable things. It was fun. It wasn't scary, but it does kind of scratch that horror itch a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. It was different, and you could see that they really tried to make a good movie. You could see the effort that they really tried to make a good movie. It wasn't just, okay, let's just do this stuff. Let's just do it. yeah, whatever. You know, you can see the effort that they tried to make a decent movie, and that is appreciated. So I don't know how it's gonna do in the box office. I don't give a rat's ass about Rotten Tomatoes. I give it a B minus, and I'm happy with that. So, hey, thanks for listening, and hey, I recommend to check it out. I know everybody's not gonna like it, and I do understand if you don't like it. But this is a movie that I'm saying to you, give it a try. Leave the BS out of it. Leave your own personal bias out of it, and just sit back, clear your mind, woosha, and just enjoy. Eat your popcorn, drink your soda, and just enjoy the flick that's on the screen. Until next time, I will see you at the movies. You have a good one.